YouTube? It's me again, OG Frank Nitty, brought to you by Silver Wolf TV. I'm back to tell y'all about a little more of my experience in prison. You know, it's a lot of places in prison that can be very dangerous, especially the prisons that I've been in, right? One is the kitchen because it's mass movement, and you're probably talking about 500 guys moving in one direction in probably about 5 minutes into this first 500 going to eat. It's another 500 coming right behind them. And, depending on the size of the prison. And the reason why I say that, what we call the chow hall, the mess hall, the kitchen, whatever you want to name it, the reason why I say that's one of the most dangerous spots, because it's so much going on around you that you have to be focused, alert, and in many cases be able to tune out all the other conversations around you. It's not an easy task, right? Over the years I learned how to do it, but but it's one of the most dangerous spots because it's also constant movement. So because it's constant movement, it's hard for you to keep watching everything that goes by and try to eat your meal at the same time. So I done seen a lot of times where guys have been stabbed, have had their throat slit. One of the reasons why they took off like canned goods where you had to open with a can opener, they took them off because guys was using like tuna fish lids and or salmon lids or even down to drink mix, right? They used to have drink mix in a can, and they used to take this, and it has the same effect as a box cutter or a straight razor, right? And it's so wild. I can remember a buddy of mine, right, dude out of DC. They used to call Mad Dog, right? So I don't know what the beef was about, right? But the dude caught Mad Dog in the kitchen one day because I didn't even know they were beefing, right? So somehow the dude slid up on him and slit he tried to, because when he felt the guy grab him, I guess just out of instinct, he knew to tuck his chin. So, but he cut him up underneath the chin. He didn't get a chance to actually slit his throat. Okay, so the police is there because it's 4 people to a table, like down in spots like JCI and things like that, and most prison child halls are pretty much built the same in Maryland, right? At least all the ones I've ever been to. So this actually led to him catching the guy months later, right, after this happened. And I never forget this because of this one particular thing. Me and him was getting ready to go smoke some weed, right? We used to always, back then I was in school, right? So we used to go smoke weed before we went to class, right? Because they would have all the school guys kind of piled up in the gym until it was time for us to go to class, and we go to our separate classes and things of that nature. So I never forget this. I said, man, I don't have no blunts. I don't even have no tie paper. He said, well, I got some tie paper back in my cell. I said, well, man, go grab it. So I never forget this. I'm waiting on him to, bring the tie paper back so we can go smoke this weed before it was time for us to go to school. So a code was called. So I see the police running towards me, and I'm thinking, man, what the fuck? Somebody tell on me or something? Like, how the fuck somebody thought I had this weed, right? I'm actually thinking they coming for me because they are running, looking directly at me and running, but they started actually running past me. So I'm like, what the hell? So I noticed that the ones was running from off the compound wasn't coming in. So the only other place they could have had went was in commissary, right? And this is the spot I'm talking about is JCI, right, down in Jessup, Maryland. And I never forget this. Being nosy, I kind of went to the commissary window to see what the fuck is going on, right? Where the fuck all the police at? Because I really wanted to go smoke this weed before we go in school, right? So I never forget this. When I went in there, he had stabbed the guy in the head, and he hit him in the head so fucking hard that the knife had got stuck in his skull.
This the guy that was in the kitchen that got his throat split. He caught the dude back and getting him back.
Right. Okay. He caught the dude and this was get back. This was retaliation of that.
Right.
So I remember, man, it was wild because as he was trying to snatch the knife back out of the guy's head because it had got stuck, the guy's eyes was going back up in his head, but I'm looking directly in his face and they was fluttering, right? And I was like, God damn. And so by the time the police, because commissary, they keep the door locked, so, to keep down the robberies and things of that nature, for this prison, it ain't that dangerous, right? So it is, only a certain amount of people can be up in commissary at one time. So they're waiting for, I guess, whoever to, because these are modern built prisons. So they're waiting for the tower to hit the door so they can get in commissary. Overzealous ass captain, I forget his name, but he was this guy would probably be alive to this day had this captain not did this. Overzealous captain runs in there first, and while this guy they screaming get down, get down, get down, this guy has a fucking knife hanging out his fucking head, and his eyes are fluttering. Ain't no fucking body home, right? So you barking orders to a goddamn shell, right? But these supposed to be the smart people, right? Anyway, I remember this captain picking this guy up and slamming him on his fucking head. The guy with a knife in his head. And so they football pile up on him, and then, one of these genius, or should I say black geniuses, right? One of them realized the guy had a fucking knife hanging out his head. So they got a football pile up right here and a football pile up on my homeboy. And I'm like, God damn. And so I'm sitting there and watching this joint as all this is unfolding. And so when one of them realized the guy had a knife in his head, they said, oh shit, they picked him up and started trying to carry him to the hospital. They were both of them, it was two of them. They had his arms holding him, trying to jog with him up to medical. And I remember they was holding him by, the back of his waistband, right? Because I'm still in there. I can't even get out. I'm stuck in the hallway. So I remember they sit down there and actually holding him. But the one thing that I noticed out of everything was that his feet was like dragging on the ground. And the first thing came to my mind, I said, oh, he dead. Because it was, from the hit of the knife, and then I guess what was the death blow of being slammed on his head with a knife in his fucking head. They was carrying a dead body up medical. But, that's just some of the things I have seen in prison, as far as the violence aspect. You have guys that was in Jessup, both of them to my knowledge have been sent out of state. But these guys was real life jailhouse serial killers. Like, I got actual guys that I consider my friend that has like 4 jailhouse murders. And luckily I said something to a lieutenant and then went and got his paperwork for this, because these geniuses was getting ready to put him in the cell with somebody again. Now, he had legal documentation. I don't know what the hell flicks him off, whatever, but he had legal documentation saying that he wasn't supposed to be in a cell with anybody, right? But they kept putting people in the cell with him, and he kept killing them. And I'm like, this is some of the stuff that goes on that I don't think, the citizens of Baltimore and Maryland and PG County, things of that nature, really realize what goes on.
These are things they don't discuss in the street news. Street news don't get this. They don't want you to talk about that.
Yeah, they don't want you to talk about that. They do things like this, especially up Cumberland, but in a few different jails. They will sit down there and say they jumped on you. And they're only going to jump on you with handcuffs and shackles on. Right? And they'll jump on you 5, 6, 7 deep. And they'll do stuff like take your, what they call a SID number, out the phone. So you won't be able to call anybody. And they'll put you on a list. I forgot what they call the list. But all your mail is flagged. So anytime you try to send mail out, it ain't going out. It get intercepted, mostly by Intel. That's the kind of stuff that goes on in there. If you use somebody else's PIN number, because they'll check to see if anybody else that use that PIN number, anybody else that call your people's number, were they calling your people's before that incident happened? Because if that's not the case, then their shit comes out too. That's the type of stuff they do in there, especially in North Branch. Especially in the prison North Branch. You got a guy that the police have up there had put a hit out on. Yes, a guy by the name of Eric Poole. And because he has successfully sued them, I'm not 100% sure. I know for sure at least twice, but I believe it's 3 times And each time it been in the double digits. Settlements that he has had to, so they kind of hate him, right? Because he keep on spanking them. And now it's to the point that they're trying to force him in population because surely somebody who they might have promised a transfer or something to probably harm or maybe even kill this guy. You know, that's the type of stuff that I don't think a lot of prisoners, as I once were, their peoples really understand. Like it is really a jungle in there. Like when you're young, it's like prison is like, cause you normally when you're real young, and I'm talking in your teens and stuff like that, or late teens, you don't really take prison serious because they don't really put you nowhere serious unless like you have committed murder or rape or something like that, right? So so they don't really put you anywhere serious. So excuse me, y'all. So you don't really take it serious, so you kind of run wild. That's why a lot of young dudes, they catch bits again real quick because they ain't get a chance to learn anything. It's like, all right, I'm run wild, I'm gonna show that I ain't no bitch, right? And I'm gonna do this bit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make me a plan for what I'm gonna do when I get home. That's really how I go, right? And boy, I'm gonna go do this, do that, and I ain't fuck with this nigga no more because of whatever he might have done, right? And they might even say a few family members they ain't fucking with no more, right? But that's just how I go, right? So while all this is going on, it's like I said, it's a constant jungle. But when you're young, you don't really fully experience that, right? Because believe it or not, a lot of guys who have finally made it to the medium security from maximum security, they're so happy and appreciative of having a little more freedom that the stuff that you do that they might once would have stabbed you for, they'll say, he young, so I'm going to give him pass because I know he probably don't know no better. And that's really how I go, right? Because I've been in the situation of being young in there, and I've been in a situation of being a middle-aged man, and now becoming an old man, was in there. So thank God I'm out now, but it's like I kind of know what they, with a lot of the younger cats, what they experience when they go in there. I remember when myself, I remember when I was young. I told you I caught the time that I just gave back was my second incarceration. My first incarceration was I caught it when I was 15 and 9 months. And yes, I did go to adult prison. So, excuse me. So, while I was in there, I never forget this. I was so small, because I went down to Jessup. I was so small that the police used to kind of give me a head start, because I was really short, and on top of that, I probably weighed like 120 pounds. So when it came time for feed up, they would give me a head start, so they would be able to keep an eye on me, so I would get swallowed up in the crowd. So I say that's just some of the things, man, that I can remember that sticks out of my head about prison. But we definitely gonna pick up, where we left off. But man, also I want to remind y'all, man, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the views, man, and things of that nature. But man, it's only through you that we can find success. Like, anything you want to know about prison, anything you want to know about me, put it in the comments. But subscribe to Silver Wolf TV, right? And I'm going to keep the stories coming. Because, like I said, 30 years, a lot happened. And I'm going to give it to y'all. I ain't going to never lie to y'all. I'm going to give it to you, right, wrong, or indifferent. Because, see, I can be comfortable in saying that because I've always lived by the code of man. Not male, man. And one of the things that I did was master self-check. We'll talk about that the next time I get a chance to rap with y'all. Till then, peace.